I do not comment on specific classified operations, other than to say that the United States engages in a number of operations to go after al-Qaeda and their militant allies, their terrorist allies, who would try to attack the United States. What this incident makes clear is that this country has to continue to remain vigilant against those that would seek to attack this country.
So this is where, the justification for all the military spending is in the end, that there's a group of terrorists out there who are still trying to kill us. And there was just, as anyone who's been following the news knows, a foiled plot that was based out of Yemen. And allegedly, one of the people we killed in Yemen in a drone strike this past week was involved in this plot as well. So this is a sort of tangled web, right? On the one hand, you have the defense secretary coming out saying, we're under threat, we're under threat, we're under threat.
Not only that, we have to respond to plots.
We have to respond to plots. We have to be waging essentially a covert campaign around the world, which we are. It's not just Yemen, it's Yemen, Somalia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Pakistan. These are the countries we know we're actually having flying drones and using these drone strikes. So you have, on the one hand, there's the foiled plot, there's the fear-mongering, and then that directly relates into cash money. Right. They're saying we cannot give up this $55 billion, this $20 billion, this $30 billion, this $2 billion because of this sort of persistent threat. And we can't even step back from where we are. We're at more, if you look at actually about how much we spend, it seems like we're getting even more danger because we have to keep spending money to protect ourselves.
That's exactly right. And there's no way to stop it because it's what is it, symbiotic, where they feed off of one another. It's a convenient relationship between need or supposed need and desire, and it just keeps going all the way down because they're saying that with these bomb strikes, give them further reason to spend money. But if you're not spending the money, you're going to get the bomb strikes. I mean, that's the whole al-Qaeda approach. It's like, look, you guys are going to keep bombing us with these drone strikes. This is retaliation. This isn't starting it. You can have that whole conversation on who started it, and that's a totally different conversation. But this is where the pattern they're in now.
This is the pattern, and this is global war on terror spending. We're still stuck in this post-September 11th mindset. You know, people often criticize, oh, you're stuck in pre-9/11 thinking. No, we're stuck in post-9/11 thinking, right? Where the entire framework of what we're doing in our foreign policy and in our defense spending was set up by George W. Bush, and it's been continued. And we can change the name for it. They no longer use global war on terror. But you see by Secretary Panetta's comments, I mean, this is a guy supposed to be a Democrat, right? You see by President Obama's unwillingness to really confront the defense budget that, you know, he doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to spend the political capital on that.
No, he doesn't, and he won't. I mean, don't forget what he wants. He's just not going to. That is not going to happen.
Exactly, because the minute he decides, oh, I'm going to cut defense, and one of these bombs slips through, and living in a free society, occasionally you're going to get hit by a terrorist attack, then he's going to be accused. Oh, well, he cut the spending. Well, you know, weak on defense. You know, he's a communist. You know, game over.
And then what's going to happen? He's going to face the House of Representatives that has zero patience for it. Here's Peter King of New York. Clip number 3, talking about how this was related to the bomb strike. And then he goes on afterwards, and we'll hear that about American vigilance. It's all about vigilance.
There was a drone attack that was able to kill Fad Mohammed Ahmed al-Qusay. Are these two things linked? The drone attack over the weekend that was, by U.S. accounts, successful, and foiling this plot?
Yes, I was told by the White House that they are connected. They're part of the same operation.
Okay, so he was told by the White House. Yes, they were. He knows because the White House told him.
He knows because the White House told him. And this is the major problem. I mean, the gentleman who was killed in the drone strike might very well be a horrible human being, bomb maker, who deserved to be evaporated, totally squashed, bug splat, as they say.
By the way, Soledad O'Brien with a fantastic pronunciation.
She was great. Right. Yeah. She nailed it.
She sold it anyway.
She sold that she knows FOD. You know, knows how to pronounce FOD. Sorry, don't want to get her in trouble. No, it's this. The problem with this drone program is that it's a program done in complete secrecy, right? Yeah. So all we know is what the White House told Peter King. The reliability of the information that the White House told Peter King, then Peter King goes and tells CNN, I would check, I want a second source, I want a third source, but we don't have it because it's all this sort of secret information done by the CIA, and we know for a fact Time and time again, the CIA has gotten it wrong. Time and time again on the drone program, they've gotten it wrong. We've said we've killed people and haven't.
And not to mention, you have a defense secretary who was the head of the CIA. So, I mean, and I'm,
No, that's not even, yeah.
So I know it's funny, but it's true. and when you, and it sort of makes me think that shouldn't ever happen again. I don't know that it just seems like it's too close.
It's interesting. So Panetta's at CIA, and then you have a former general, General Petraeus. Sorry. Panetta's at Defense. Panetta moves to Defense, and Petraeus moves to CIA. So the merging of the Pentagon and the Central Intelligence Agency is going on apace, and that's what the drone program does as well. The drone program essentially is run by the Joint Special Operations Command and the CIA. It's the Pentagon and the CIA working hand in hand, and the question is, do we trust their information? Maybe they got this guy, and maybe they foiled the plot. But what about the 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 other times we're doing these drone strikes on people we don't even know who we're hitting?
Yeah.
We know we're regularly killing people under the age of 18. That's been confirmed, over 100 kids under the age of 18 deaths. So what's the moral calculus that's at play here?
Yeah, and again, we're repeating what we talked about a little bit before the show, but I mean, if the moral calculus is war, there is another side to it too, which, is there any moral calculus in war? But if you're going to go there, is this the most surgical way of doing it? Is this a way of doing it that is, rather than carpet bombing entire cities and towns, this is supposedly an advancement? But
that's essentially the defense. I mean, it's funny. I get into this on Twitter with a lot of my progressive friends, and this is the defense they give, which is, well, President Obama is doing something. It's better than invading Iraq. It's better than invading Afghanistan, doing these drone strikes. That's true, right? Rather than repeating one of the most horrible foreign policy mistakes in history by invading Iraq or Afghanistan again, yes, it's better just to do sort of remote controlled drone strikes. That being said, is it moral, right? And what I've said before, and I think this is true, I think it's a morally indefensible program 98% of the time. And it's perhaps, but it's politically defensible, right? Because no one in America really cares that these people are being blown up on a regular basis. It's this sort of face as enemy. It seems like we're doing a good thing. Democrats love it. The drone issue polls really well. So it's a win across the board until you get to the blowback point where you've killed so many innocent people that in fact you're just prolonging this conflict forever.
Michael, I mean, does that blowback point exist? If it didn't exist in Iraq, where hundreds of thousands of Iraqis who we never saw died, but we know they're dead, and there wasn't any outrage here. I mean, there was, I think we should end the war, but we'll reelect the guy, and then we'll still say it might have been a good idea. And even though he did it illegally, and he may be a war criminal, he started this war. I mean, at a certain point, you say, well, screw them. These people couldn't care about 100,000. How are they going to care about 100?
Right, and I was even talking about the blowback in terms of like other terrorists coming over here because they were offended. Because I guarantee we don't, as rightly pointed out, the American public in general's top priority is not what foreigners were killing this week, right? That's not. But if you're in that foreign country, the drone program is not a secret if you are in Yemen. The drone program is not a secret if you are in Pakistan. The drone program is not a secret when you have drones flying over your head and your cousin's being killed every once in a while.
When it happens in your backyard.
It's very much not a secret. And I think that's what we should, at least we're having this debate now, and remember, we're having this debate now because we've journalists, civil liberties groups, the ACLU have pushed this debate out of the shadows, human rights groups, and so we're actually having this discussion with more information than we would have even a few